Hey everyone, welcome back to my Halloween edition reviews, number 2, or season 2, whatever you want to call it. I meant to review this movie in 2011, but then I decided, better wait until after the end of the world. Haha, jokes on them who have thought of it being the end of the world this soon, back in 2012. But anyways, I'm reviewing one of my favorites of 2008, Trailerpark of Terror. I got this when I turned 18. Uh, so pretty much I bought my first unrated movie by myself, being 18 and all. But I have never read the comics. Supposedly the comic books are really different from the movie. Of course, it does have Norma in the book, and she apparently tells a bunch of ghost stories involving zombies and whatnot. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave it in the comments below, or PM me the message so that I know I didn't get it wrong. But it starts off. I'm gonna go right into the story right now. It starts off with a girl. She's going to a dance, if I remember correctly, and her boyfriend is talking to the rednecks, and when I say rednecks, I mean really redneck. Uh, anyways, uh, the boyfriend is talking to Roach, who's the one right here, has a guitar and rocks out. uh, so what happens is, Roach is like, oh, flowers? For me? You shouldn't have. And then he throws the flowers, the bouquet of flowers that was supposed to be given to Norma. And then Stank ends up coming in. Uh, what a weird name for a zombie, but he's a really kick ass looking zombie. Uh, then you've got China Girl, who does happy endings. uh, and you've got, uh, what the hell is his name? Uh, I keep on forgetting his name. I know if I saw a picture of him, I'd be able to figure him out. There's Roach, Stank, China Girl, um, and the name will come to me. But anyways, uh, they're playing around with him, like really playing around, like a way you don't want to be played around with. And he decides to stand up for his girl Norma, and shit ends up happening. Stank pushes him on to pretty much a pitchfork, lying. How it's lying does not make sense. It looks a little bit like a pitchfork when it goes in, but I don't know why I said pitchfork. Uh, and he ends up dying of blood loss. So Norma, she's had enough, and she decides to walk out of the trailer park and never return. That's her plan. But anyways, she makes a deal with Trace Atkins right there. He's pretty much the devil. So he pretty much gives her an opportunity to get even. And she's given this gun pretty much with unlimited ammo from the way it looks. Um, and snakes disappear when he grabs the gun. And that's when the fun starts. Norma shoots everybody in the trailer park one by one, even China Girl. And just an all around cool opening to a movie. And then we get a couple years later, 2008, and there are these newspaper clippings from earlier years saying about how people have vanished on the side of the road. Uh, whole trailer park burned in flames, which I should mention. I'm not spoiling anything here because this is the beginning. Uh, Norma, after she shot up everybody, she ends up smoking a cigarette and pretty much destroying herself as well. She throws a cigarette into the gasoline, or propane, sorry. She throws it, and then that's how everybody else dies. And I think that's pretty cool. Like, that's a cool way of getting revenge on somebody. Uh, anyways, fast forward to 2008. Uh, this religious group, not really religious, the only one religious is uh, the pastor. At least, I don't buy him as a pastor. I think his name's Robert De Niro, stage name, but I hope I'm saying that right, and I don't want to offend anybody. But anyways, what ends up happening is they are on their way back to pretty much their homes because they've been in a church camp for a week. So that 1 week is supposed to change them, and oh lordy, they are gonna get holy. Sorry, trying to make people laugh. I suck at it, but anyways, uh, what ends up happening is a dreadful storm ends up coming out of nowhere, and they're driving, and they take a shortcut from an old guy, and he says, "Well, you can take that fork in the road, and it will lead you to town." And never, whenever I see horror movies with the so-called shortcut, I'm like, don't trust them. Do not trust them. I've seen 2001 Maniacs. I've seen The Hills Have Eyes. The remake is one of my favorite films. If you don't believe me, go to some of my older videos and search Hills Have Eyes 2006. But anyways, finally it kicks in where they end up crashing off the side of the road, and there's the horror cliches. There's the virgin, which I call him a virgin. Uh, there's a slut, well, a one man type of slut. She only loves one man, and he's a complete asshole, so that's the third. We've got a druggy chick who all she wants is drugs, so her death is pretty cool. I liked all the deaths in this movie. There's one he's a nice guy, but he gets picked on for being homosexual, and even though he's not, uh, and we get a goth girl, which it doesn't surprise me that she ended up being not the survivor, but I'm not spoiling anything, but she ends up becoming sort of the heroine of the story. Uh, and what happens is we get this full new introduction to Norma. She looks really pretty, way different than when she was supposed to be a teenager. But anyways, Norma tells these people a story, the story of how she came to be. Um, her stepdad was pretty much a sexist pig. That's the best way I can put it. And they're trying to record porno pretty much without the mother's permission. Norma's mother is what I call a not so classy hooker. I mean, she doesn't look bad, but that's a little too old for me. uh, anyways, what happens next? It's sad. They end up shooting the poor woman in the head. Well, by they, I mean pretty much the sheriff of the town. Uh, and then she ends up screaming at the top of her lungs to scare the kids, so you got some jump scares in this too. And one of the kids is actually played by Cody McMahon's. Not Vince McMahon's son, no relation to Vince McMahon, period. But he played in not another teen movie, so I liked that I got to see a familiar face other than Trace Atkins. Uh, anyways, Cody McMahon's and the nice guy end up staying in the trailer that has the bad floors. They're all sensitive, so if you walk on them, you might trip inside the hole. Uh, and the way each of these deaths are represented is really kick-ass. You've got your first death, mm, pretty much the girl, the druggy girl, ends up taking a, a hit of crystal meth. I think it's crystal meth. I don't know my drugs, people. I'm not a druggie, and I'm not, at most, I am not even a drug seller. I don't deal with that kind of stuff. So I'll call it crystal meth. And slowly but surely, uh, Roach ends up coming in, and he's like, "You took my shit. Nobody touches my shit." And I think the way his eyes just end up glowing really wide is a really cool effect. This is CGI done right. There is very little CGI in this. Uh, his eyes end up like lighting up, and Bridget, that's the name of the goth girl, she ends up running over to the screams of pretty much what Roach did. I'm gonna put the DVD case down for a second. He pretty much cuts her left hand off, well, right hand or whatever, uh, and cuts it. And she thinks, oh, she's just getting high, and she's like, oh, this is some scary shit. And Roach replies with, you haven't seen the scary shit. And he cuts off her arm with a power not buzz saw, but one of those things you use to cut meat with. You plug it into the wall, and not an electric razor or anything like that. I forget the names for them. But anyways, how could something this little? I only have a couple of complaints with this film. How could something that little, and it looks real, but how is that able to cut a arm off? Because that's how her death starts. I'm not going to go into details because every death has two parts to it, and I'm only going to say the first parts to each one. Bridget grabs a grenade uh, later on, and she takes it out of the Claymore field. Roach set up a pretty much a field full of different detonators, bombs, you name it. Claymores is what they're called, if I didn't say that. And you get one of my favorite scenes. Uh, what ends up happening? He ends up blowing up big time. So how can you not kill these zombies, but you can't help but laugh at them either? Sorry, my dog is coming in again. My dogs. Anyways, getting back on point here. The girl, Bridget, ends up taking one of the grenades, and uh, Roach just happens to step on his own claymore, and he ends up exploding into pieces, and he's like, I'll get you, honey bunny. She-dog. And he ends up pulling out his arm, and he's like, they could be anywhere. Maybe I set them right there. There. I can't even remember what the fuck I did do. And, like, I loved these zombies, and I'd love to know what the comics are like, because they're supposedly way different than the movie, but I want to see it for myself. I'd like to order some of the comics at some point. Maybe have a compendium sort of thing. Uh, anyways, Roach ends up getting himself not stitched back together, but pretty much table, not table, clips. Yeah, paper clips. Uh, and stuff like that. He gets nail gunned, his arms back on, and he says, "Oh man, that don't go there." And Marv, that's the one who chased after Norma. Not in the porno sex tape that was happening, but Norma is constantly getting flirted around with by this one guy named Marv. I love his makeup. I love every one of the zombies' makeup was really cool. Hell, your main bad guy is a chick, and I think that's really kick-ass. Uh, and she looks a little bit like Freddy Krueger, except for her body's not burned, and she pumps air into her boobs to make them look presentable. Anyways, your first death, I don't even call it pretty much a death for this reason alone. Uh, I was laughing too much at what she ends up saying. She rips off the pastor's head and she's like, "Don't you know it's inappropriate to leave your girl drying out in the sack?" And she pulls his head right off. And actually, I'll show you the disc because it has the scene on it. Okay, hopefully no glare gets involved. Okay, making sure you can see it. She's got the pastor's head right there, and that's what Norma looks like when she puts on her face, literally. And she looks nothing like what Norma looked like at the beginning of the film. So either they got a different actress or they used a lot of makeup. Which, she doesn't even look older. She looks like maybe in her late 20s. Uh, anyways, she starts with all her zombies, which they're now controlled by Norma, even though she killed them all in the trailer park in the beginning. And pretty much they go on a killing spree, offing the people in really creative ways. Uh, this one guy, Cody McMahon, ends up getting pretty much a back massage by China Girl, who we already know she's dead, but she's wearing a mask, like a porcelain mask, so we don't get to see her face yet. But she ends up saying to poor Cody McMahon's, massage? And he's like, okay. And he ends up getting a massage, and he thinks it's all gonna be well and good. He gets a happy ending. But damn, they pick you up with more gore, and the gore effects in this thing are great. If there's any CGI for the gore, that was some pretty good CGI. But the prosthetics and stuff, you can tell they weren't really going high budget with this film. I think it was shown in horror film festivals and whatnot. And this is the unrated and R-rated version. Pretty much the unrated version only has one scene that's different. It's a little bit gorier. Uh, I won't say who gets it, but I'll give you a hint. Uh, the guy we hate the most, the asshole, and his asshole bitch. Uh, the bitch pretty much gets the thing that inflates Norma's boobs. She shoves it right into the girl's mouth and starts it up, and she ends up puking out blood, and I'm like, nice. And there's so many things I enjoy with this film. It's dark humor, and I love myself some dark humor. It's gory as can be, because I'm a gore fan. What else can you say? If you've seen the movies I review, there's some gore in a lot of them, like the Hatchet series, the newer Friday the 13th, like Friday the 13th Part 6. A guy gets his heart ripped out, but that's a different story for a different day. Anyways, Norma is pretty much killing for the fun of it, and these aren't really zombies because only one creature in particular ends up eating somebody. Ends up. I'm not gonna spoil the deaths, but there's only one real zombie in this film, and she she eats her pretty much meals. Uh, and I can't think of her name. It starts with an L, and I can't think of the name. But Stank ends up having a really cool scene. He gets a hold of the asshole, and I love how he dies. I absolutely freaking love it. Uh, it's a really creative way, but I'm not gonna say how. All I'll say is he's soothing the muscles for something. Uh, and he loves making beef jerky. I wouldn't mind getting a hold of some jerky at the moment right now. But anyways, this film is fun. It's got cheesy, not really cheesy effects, but you can tell with the budget they had, they did a good job with it. I bought this for $5 down at Walmart. Not in the $5 bin. This was actually on the shelf. It was originally $10, but I got it for 7. They lowered their prices sometimes in Walmart to a good price where I can actually afford it. So that's all the stuff I can say about this film. I thought it was a really kick-ass and deserving film. It deserved the praise it got, and uh, there are sadly no reviews on the case like most DVDs have. Like some rave reviewer points it out to everybody. Oh, it's great, or oh, it sucks. It sucks really bad. I don't even want to be here to watch that movie. Yeah, trying to make people laugh is not really my strong suit, but definitely pick this up. Pick up the unrated version for the one gore scene it does have. It's a longer gore scene, and it's a little bit torturous. Uh, and sadly, I can't remember the kids' names except for Bridget, the goth girl. Uh, it all leads to a sequel bait ending. Not really sequel bait, but you can kind of figure make the comparison up your make the comparison up yourself because in my eyes they'll probably make a sequel because hell it's based off of a fucking comic book and comic books have a lot of issues, not like issues as in the brain. Uh, and I'm not making fun of people who have mental disabilities. I'm not trying to be mean. Just saying, hell, I even have some problems with my head, but that's personal. Not gonna get into my personal life now, but definitely check this movie out. It's got some pretty good music, and I don't like a lot of country, but some of the songs were pretty cool. But then it starts getting into rock music, as played by Roach himself. And Marv, he's a funny guy. He's a pretty funny zombie. They're all really funny in their own ways. But anyways, that's my review over Trailerpark of Terror. I give it a strong 7 out of 10. The only thing that bothered me with this film was pretty much the rape scene. Does every movie from 2008 have to have a rape scene? I know in I Spit on Your Grave, they're supposed to put in the rape scene to make you feel for the person getting raped, which you never should go woohoo for the rapist. But that was a good movie. I liked it. Uh, but it was made from the same director who made Martyrs. I didn't I didn't like that movie. Nope. If somebody sent it to me, I'd accept it as a gift and keep it in my collection. But I didn't like the movie, so I'm warning people right now. If you liked Martyrs, be my guest, but I didn't find it all that well done. It made me want to go and watch The Human Centipede at parts because Martyrs is a torture film, and I fucking hate torture films. But there was a tortured death in this, and I loved the death. It was a really creative way to kill somebody. And this movie, like I said, gets a strong 7 to 8 out of 10. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 because, hell, it's got a good story. It's based off of a comic book that I've heard of, but I've never gotten the chance to read. Which this movie makes me want to go out and buy a couple copies of the books, the comic books, novels, whatever you want to call them. And I heard they're supposed to be just as gory, if not gorier, than the movie itself. The comic book came first, for those wondering. And for those who have never heard of this film, it's $5 fucking. You can clearly get it real cheap, so don't say, "Oh man, that's gonna burn my wallet out." And I'm just gonna say simply, it's a cheap movie to get, but it's got awesome effects. I found the characters to be very enjoyable, uh, especially the main heroine of the story. Sounds like I'm talking about drugs again. But anyways, check it out. Gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Um, 8 out of 10 hatchets. Check it out. I'm sure everybody will enjoy it. If you're a gore hound, you'll absolutely love it. But if you don't like gore, I'd say stay away from it. But if you like a good story to go along with the gore, check it out. Trailerpark of Terror. Definitely not a must own, but it's worth definitely a bunch of watches. Like, I've watched this about 30 times since I've gotten it, and each time I watch it, I'm like, the effects are still holding up with its age. It's only 7 years old. Uh, no, not 7 years old. 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. 5 years. Yeah. So, for a movie that came out in 2008, and it's a low budget movie, it definitely gets some praise from the critics. Go to Fangoria.com, Dread Central, uh, hell, maybe even Famous Monsters from Filmland. Maybe they might have done something on the movie. But 8 out of 10, great movie. I definitely am happy I have it in my collection. And when something says unrated, I'm like, ugh, they're only doing that to sucker us in. Like, I'm a sucker. Because I figured if it's unrated, it's got to be halfway decent. But this isn't halfway decent. This is a really awesome movie. I suggest zombie fans pick it up, ghost fans pick it up. If you like naked ladies, don't pick it up because you're not going to see any nudity here. Uh, but I'll show you the picture of China Girl. There she is wearing the mask. Uh, watch it for Halloween. Uh, it's a really kick-ass movie to pop in anytime, and I can watch it. I want to watch it with some of my friends, see what they think. But I definitely give it an 8 out of 10. So, anyways, I'm out. Uh, Hopefully, you all are liking the reviews, and I will be back tomorrow. And happy Halloween to the little kitties. And, little kids, if you're gonna get angry at me cursing, then don't watch my videos because I curse a lot in some of them. This one I didn't curse a lot because I have nothing really to complain about with the movie. Uh, so anyways, I'm out. Psychopathic One signing off.